going on, guys? Today we're gonna make gazpacho. Alright, gazpacho is one of those dishes that if it's not done properly, the texture, the mouthfeel is all wrong. We're gonna show you an amazing, silky smooth, refreshing soup that you can enjoy this summer. What do we do first?
So now we're gonna blanch and peel these tomatoes for our gazpacho. And instead of like the plum tomatoes, because these are bigger, instead of just an X, you could do 3 or 4 slices so the skin will come off. I always recommend going through this little, part where the flower grows, so that way it comes off nice and easy. Now let's move over to there. I'm gonna drop this in. We're gonna take about 5 to 10 seconds for each tomato. Make sure it's submerged. You could always pull it out and test to see if it's ready. That's come off pretty easy. Drop it in the ice. Test this bad boy off also. That should be good. Right into the ice to cool down. And we're going to peel these and get them nice and clean.
Knife work doesn't really matter. We're gonna cut these in half, take out the cores, and chop it up. Once you're done chopping it up, we're gonna put it in the bowl. As far as cucumbers go, we're going to top and tail it, we're gonna peel it, and slice it up as well. The skins, that's gonna provide not a fun texture in your mouth. And you want a nice, smooth, delicious gazpacho. You're going to cut this lengthwise, and we need to take out the seeds. The seeds are going to be watery, so the best method to do this is with a spoon. You're going to gently scrape down the seed pod. Get rid of that. Don't worry about the garnish. Yeah.
So we're going to jump back to this part. Slice. We're going to use this, and this. And then we're going to take out this flesh right here. Okay, that's that. Now we're going to just rough chop this up, so we'll cut down back to this.
So what are we doing here? So we have all the chopped vegetables. We have the cucumbers, the peppers, and the tomatoes with no skins, no seeds on the cucumbers, and you want all the flesh, all the juice in here. And what we're gonna do is this is basically a pureed salad, all right? So we're gonna season this up. We're gonna start with some kosher salt. Yep. And you want this to be aggressive because this is gonna be served cold, right? So it mutes some of the flavors. Right. So season aggressively, then we're gonna do freshly toasted ground black pepper.
What do you mean mute some of the flavors?
So like, you ever taste something where it's just like, it doesn't pop, it's not zinging, it's not full of flavor. That's because there's not enough salt or the magical ingredient.
MSG.
MSG, all right? Some people hate it. It does not cause headaches. That's a falsity. It adds delicious umami flavors, and if you want to use it, great. You get it at your Asian markets. If you don't have to. But we're putting some in there. And we're gonna season this with some good olive oil and some sherry vinegar. This would not be a Spanish dish without sherry vinegar.
Why is that?
Because sherry vinegar comes from Spain, and it gives the flavor. No, seriously, it's a vinegar based off of sherry, and it tastes good. And it makes it doesn't taste like apple cider vinegar. We're gonna stir this around and we're gonna taste it to make sure that as it's marinating, all the juices are coming out, that it's really nice and
I remember really get in there. Yeah, like really get in there. You know?
Now that it's seasoned, we gotta taste to make sure that the salt, the MSG, the black pepper, the vinegar, the oil levels are all proper. So,
what's the flavor that someone would be looking for?
you want it to taste like tomatoes. You want it to taste like fresh cucumber. You want to taste all the ingredients. You don't want it to be too vinegary. You want to find that balance. I think that's where it needs to be.
I gotta agree with you. That's perfect.
We're gonna pop this in the fridge and we're gonna let this get really nice and cold before we puree it.
How long are we gonna pop it in the fridge for?
Marinate, I would say anywhere from at least 1 hour to 4 or 6 hours. If you do it overnight, it can get a little where it starts tasting old, especially if you have it in a metal container, because that's reactive. If you have a plastic container and you want to store it overnight, that would be the best bet.
All right, so pop it in the fridge.
It's been marinating. It's had time to meld. As you can see, there's tons of juices now. We're gonna blend this up. We got a bowl with ice water to keep it nice and cold. The colder the gazpacho, the better, right?
Why is that?
Why? Because it's a cold, refreshing soup. Basically, you want to think about it as a pureed salad, right? But it's just, you want it to be fresh. You don't want the heat from the blender to overheat it. You don't want it to be anything but as cold as possible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all the contents of this. You don't want to waste any of the juice, any of the olive oil, sherry, none of that. We're gonna put it all in here.
And then we're gonna blend it right up.
Yep.
So what should the consistency be once it's completely blended?
So normally, like, it's kind of got this chunky bit with the skin. I don't like that. So what I do is I literally blend this up. I took off all the skins. I took out all the seeds. It's gonna be a beautiful, it'll have a little bit of chunk, but it'll be as smooth as possible. So basically we're gonna just blend this on high for about a minute until it's nice and blended. Okay, but you want it to be
almost like
as
a smoothie?
quickly as possible. It's a veggie.
It's a veggie smoothie?
No, it's just a veggie, not a smoothie. So we're gonna keep this on ice, nice and cold. We're gonna leave some of the liquid in here to finish up the rest of this beautiful gazpacho.
Why leave some of the liquid? Why not completely empty it out?
Because you want it to be, like, we're gonna stir it all together. You don't want it to be separated. You don't want it to be too loose. And obviously the vegetable matter, it has juice, but it makes it blend quicker and smoother that way.
Gotcha.
So now that we got good to the last cucumber, I'm gonna lock this in, wipe this up, and finish this off. So now let's try this. Let's make sure that it's properly seasoned. It's all combined. I'm good to go. Dude, I think that's right on the money.
That's perfect.
That's perfect, right?
Not missing anything at all.
All right, well, let's plate this up then. So we have it nice, smooth as can be. We're gonna go right into the bowl. Now you can finish it with a little bit of olive oil, fresh herbs, or small dice of all the veg that you put in there. You can do small dice of cucumber, tomato, peppers if you want some texture. Me personally, I wanted it as silky smooth as possible. I don't want it chunky. The seasoning was right on the money, and I don't like having the extra fat. I want this to be nice, clean, refreshing, and simple to eat. Normally, dude, in Spain, they thicken it with bread. It's more traditional, but I want this to be nice and refreshing. But it's just the right thing for a hot summer day. We hope you enjoy it. Let's see.
And obviously, before we go,
we have to make sure our cameraman likes it.
So, what do you think?
So, what?
Is that gazpacho?
It's not, yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll drop it out of the bowl.
That looks good though. That looks good. You
That looks
look
good.
like linguine, bro.
That's what.
All right, so what are we doing here?
All right, so we have all of our chopped vegetables. What? What?
The all right.
Stop saying all right.
The all right. I
You said
heard
it
it.
too many times.
Is that what he said or I said
I
that?
said it.
Bolder you said it. Let's start over.
Okay.
So what are we doing here?
Yeah, like, really
get in there.
Yeah,
you know?
toss that salad.
Yep.
This, I think it'll make summertime a little bit more glad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you to lift it higher. You didn't lift it as high.
Well,
as
that's
you
amazing.
before.
This ain't your average gazpacho.
This ain't your average gazpacho.